On November 25th, 1997, just 2 days before Thanksgiving, the quiet community of Rock Hill, South Carolina was shattered by the brutal murders of Earl and Terry Robertson, both 49 years old. The couple, respected in their neighborhood and active in church, were found in their home, bludgeoned and stabbed in a savage attack that left even seasoned investigators stunned. The perpetrator was not an unknown intruder or random criminal. It was their own son, 21-year-old James D. Jimmy Robertson. Jimmy Robertson's descent from a promising future to a double parricide was as shocking as the crime itself. Once a bright student, even considered a math prodigy, he graduated high school with honors and attended Georgia Tech to study engineering. His father, an executive with Springs Industries, had provided him with financial support and a privileged lifestyle. But by 1997, Jimmy's life had unraveled. He had been expelled from college for poor attendance, drifted into drug and alcohol abuse, and worked low-paying restaurant jobs. The loss of financial support from his father intensified tensions at home. According to prosecutors, Robertson's motive was greed. The Robertsons' estate was valued at $2.2 million, and Jimmy, along with his younger brother Earl Jr., Chip, stood to inherit. Evidence later suggested that Jimmy had spoken openly about wanting his parents dead and had even discussed the idea with friends. In the early hours of November 25, 1997, Jimmy called his teenage girlfriend, Meredith Moon, to come over, telling her that today was the day he would kill his parents. Sometime thereafter, he carried out the attack. Earl Robertson was found lying face down in his underwear, his skull shattered by the claw end of a hammer and a baseball bat, his brain exposed. Terry Robertson was discovered in bed with severe head injuries, multiple stab wounds, and a deep slash from her wrist to her elbow that exposed bone. The violence was so extreme that the knife blade broke during the attack. Suspicion quickly turned toward Jimmy. Investigators traced a vehicle outside the Robertson home to Meredith Moon's father. Initially, Moon tried to cover for Jimmy, but she eventually confessed her knowledge of the murders and led police to the discarded weapons. She was originally charged as a co-defendant, but later accepted a plea deal for accessory after the fact and armed robbery in exchange for her testimony, receiving a 20-year sentence. Jimmy Robertson's trial in 1999 was swift and devastating. His defense during the guilt phase was minimal, focusing instead on forcing the prosecution to prove their case. During the penalty phase, his attorneys argued that Robertson suffered from bipolar disorder and had abnormalities in his frontal lobes affecting impulse control. They also claimed that his abuse of Ritalin may have triggered a psychotic episode. Nevertheless, the jury found the brutality and premeditation of the murders compelling, and Robertson was sentenced to death in June 1999. Over the years, Robertson's legal journey took unexpected turns. In 2005, he stunned many by announcing he would not pursue further appeals, telling a judge he preferred execution over spending decades in prison. He stated that his guilt had never been in question. Yet in later years, he filed motions claiming ineffective legal representation, prompting renewed court proceedings. The case deeply scarred the Rock Hill community. Neighbors remembered Earl and Terry Robertson as warm, giving people, and the trial's defense strategy, which painted them in a negative light, was seen by some as a painful insult to their memory. While many supported the death penalty for Jimmy, others, including the Robertsons' pastor, Reverend William Pender, continued to minister to him as a member of the church, even while acknowledging the horror of the crime. Jimmy, now 51, still sits on death row, and recently he's filed a motion to relieve individuals in his counsel and has asked to represent himself. His reason? In the letter to the federal judge, he wrote, "I am being advised that despite my right and the competency to decide what is best for me, no ethical attorney will withdraw an appeal that will result in their client's execution.